Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Spider Mech. The Spider Mech was the first battle mech produced by Newhart Industries, designed back in 2650 as a light reconnaissance and attack mech used by the Star League Defense Force. Special operations forces such as the Black Hearts, beyond exceeding all of the SLDF's minimum requirements, Newhart had actually designed the Spider before receiving the Star League's request for proposals and were ready to begin production immediately. Factors which helped the company win the contract very quickly. In terms of maneuverability, the Spider has a ground speed comparable to the Locust and can outjump either the Vaunted Wasp or Stinger light mech, built with the top of the line reliable parts, sophisticated reconnaissance equipment, and an energy weapon payload which allowed for extended operations without resupply. The Spider was a great success. While not produced in large numbers, it could rapidly be manufactured, which enabled its service to end. Which enabled its service to the end of the Star League. Looking at the words, but they're just not making sense to me this morning. I apologize. All right. So, Newhart's Spider Factory on New Earth was destroyed in 2776 as part of the Armenian Civil War, and very few spiders ended up in the hands of the successor states. While the Star League dissolved, as their numbers began to dwindle during the succession wars, entire offensive operations were conducted simply to secure spare parts for these mechs. So rare was the Spider that Wolf's Dragoons were notable for having an entire lance of spiders, albeit split among the various regiments. These tend towards extinction was finally reversed when the Free Worlds League was able to secure the schematics for the Spider, and in a deal with the um, Namakachi Fusion Products Limited. I'm sure I butchered that to some degree. The company was given exclusive control of the mech's technological specifications in exchange for building them for the Free Worlds League. Namakachi began building new spiders from their factory on Tamagati and later expanded their facilities on Lapata 2 to produce them as well. The result of the Free Worlds League and the Draconis Combine have the largest numbers of spiders in active service in the late Succession War period. The recovery of the lost Star League technology inspired Nabakachi to update the Spider with new updates, resulting in the improved SDR 7M and the derivative Venom. While the Free Worlds League did not express much interest in these mechs, Namagachi found ready buyers among the great houses, in particular the Draconis Combine, which had lost a large number of light mechs during the clan invasion, and brought up both local and foreign made spiders to replenish their ranks. The word of Blake also expressed an interest in these spiders and brought several to outfit their military as well. These spiders were used as part of the Blakist request of Terra, and were later gifted to the Protectorate militia, where they fought in the jihad. Starting in 3067, if I stop trying to be dyslexic here, the Spider was restyled by Namagachi, which allowed the addition of an ejection system into the cockpit of the new SDR 7K, 7K2, and 7KC models. Though, when rebuilding their destroyed Tamagati plant during the Dark Age era, Namagachi would revert to the classic SLDF appearance that once again precluded the ejection seat. for weapons and equipment. The Spider carries a very light armament of two Aberdovi Mark III medium lasers mounted in its center torso next to the fusion engine. While more expensive than the common Martel lasers mounted in other mechs, they were more superior in quality and required very little maintenance. Waste heat generated by the lasers were handled by the standard number 10 single heat sinks mounted in the fusion engine. 3.5 tons of armor provide some measure of protection, although most Spider pilots agree that speed is its best defense. The unique armor alignment on the front of the Spider is what gave the mech its name. And with the spider web pattern, its future emphasis by a bright red fiberglass sealant in the seams between the armor plates. The Spider carries a grand total of 8 jump jets, 4 each in the left and right torso, giving it the incredible jump distance of 240 meters. Using cutting edge components, the jump jets can pivot the mech in mid flight while still reacting or still reaching its original landing point thanks to its advanced computer tracking. The ability for the Spider to twitch in the air gives it greater protection, as even most advanced targeting computers can have a hard time trying to acquire a lock. The OP communications systems and targeting tracking system are fully integrated in the Spider, meaning both verbal communications and sensor readings can be transmitted back to headquarters. This advanced computer setup even includes an entertainment system for those long, lonely nights on recon duty. However, as it also has a serious drawback that the system combined with the head's armor layout leaves no space for a proper ejection system. The pilot must manually reach the lower hatch on their own in order to exit the mech. Many Spider pilots therefore practice quickly exiting the mech during their downtime, especially those variants which carry vulnerable ammunition liable to cook off. So the variants that we have the 5D. The 5D Spider is one of two official variants originally developed by Newhart and was introduced in 2853. Geared towards anti-infantry work, it removes the medium lasers and replaces it with a single flamer in the right arm. And the Star League fell, or after the Star League fell, was primarily used by the Federated Suns, and the variant was normally used by militia units since others saw its mission of hunting infantry as a waste of a good mech. Then we have the 5K. The 5K Spider is another of the two official variants originally developed by Newhart and was introduced in 2850. Also geared towards anti-infantry work, it removes one of the medium lasers and replaces it with two arm-mounted machine guns, fed by 1 ton of ammo stored in the center torso. To make room for the ammunition, the mech sacrifices 60 meters of its jump capability by removing 2 jump jets. While primarily used by the Draconis Combine during the Succession Wars, this variant was normally used by militia units since others saw its mission for hunting infantry as a waste of a good mech. Then we have the 7K. This is an upgrade to the base design introduced by Namagachi in 3067 and based on the success of the revitalized classic designs. It's built using an endosteel structure, 5.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor, a light fusion engine in place of the standard model, and carries 2 medium pulse lasers. Perhaps most critically, Namagachi was able to finally install an injection system in the 7K. We have the 7KR, the Jihad era filled refit, first spotted in 3074, removes the medium pulse lasers and mounts an experimental angle ECM suite in its place. We also have the 7K2. This is a Scout Hunter variant of the 7K introduced in 3068 by Namakachi. Its jump capability is dropped to 210 meters, and its armoring reduced to 5 tons, but it now carries a diverse optics Sunbeam ER large laser. The 7KC, built in 3074 after the destruction of Namagachi's Tamagagi factory, the 7KC drops the 7K's medium pulse lasers, replacing them with a light PPC and a C3 slave unit. The 7M. The 7M was Namagachi's upgrade to the vulnerable Spider with recovered Starlink technology, released in 3051. It uses the Krikos 2 Deluxe Endo Steel chassis and 3 tons of Calo FWL special ferrofibers armor, freeing up weight to replace the 2 medium lasers with 2 Tronal 12 medium pulse lasers. Many of the components were also replaced with proprietary technology, including Rawlings 75 jump jets and Omicron 4002 networking channel and a TRSS Eagle Eye targeting system. One thing they could not do, however, was include an ejection system for the pilot. All right, then we have the 8K, a post-jihad variant developed by the Combine in 3084. The Spider 8K uses a compact gyro and a 240 rated XL fusion engine to maintain its ground speed while still allowing it to carry 4 tons of ferrofibrous armor. The extra weight left was used to swap the medium lasers out of the stock Spider for a single torso mounted capacitor enhanced snub nose PPC. The 8M. This is a simple upgrade of the 7M developed by the Free Worlds League military in 3060, which replaces the single heat sinks with double heat sinks variants. Otherwise, both variants are completely identical. We have the 8R, the post-jihad variant produced by Krupp Armament Works for the Republic of the Sphere in 3084. The production model of the 8R is based on the prototype 8X that used during the liberation of Terra, built on the Indo Steel chassis and powered by a similar 210 rated light fusion engine. This reduced the ground speed of the 8R's 10 Pitbull F or LFT 20X improved jump jets, gave it amazing maneuverability. Carrying 10 double heat sinks allowed the 8R to fire its twin diverse optics ER medium lasers and jump without fear of overheating, boasting a very different look. And a redesign of the 8R was also noted for being one of the first Spiders to include an ejection system. The 8X, an experimental prototype that saw service in 3078 by Devil and Stone's coalition during the Jihad. The 8X was clad in nearly double the armor of the regular 8R and mounted an experimental inner sphere technology partial wing. The 8XR, this version of the Spider, was a field refit of the 8X. The medium pulse lasers were removed and replaced with 5 ER small lasers. For close-up combat, the Spider carries a sword and retains the partial wing. The 9M. The 9M is a further Dark Age evolution of the 8M, utilizing light ferrofibrous endosteel and XL engines. This leaves enough room to mount 2 medium variable speed pulse lasers, one in each torso, each side torso, that is. These weapons give the Spider a very powerful bite up close, but with range no better than the standard medium lasers. This loadout can leave it outranged by most of the other mechs in the modern battlefield, but its speed and maneuverability help mitigate this, repeated, if I can speak this morning, repeated firing of both lasers and jumping over burn burden the mech's 10 double heat sinks. Now we have the 10K. This variant removes the standard weaponry and replaces it with a single large re-engineered laser and replaces the armor with ballistic reinforced armor. And then the C, the Draconis Combine variant, introduced in 3054 based on the 7M, swaps out one of the medium pulse lasers for a standard medium laser and a C3 slave unit. All right. And then from there, we also have has the following design quirks: easy to maintain, nimble jumper, and no ejection system. Now, the Spider was originally published in May of '85, issue of New Game News, in the scenario written by Patrick Larkin, author Blaine Lee. Pardoe stated in a blog entry that, according to his memory, which he admitted could be wrong, the Spider was among the battle mechs for which he wrote the original background, as initially published in TRO 3025, the technical readout 3025, after being given its or only its name, image, and game stats to work with for the TRO entry. In German products, the unit's proper name was translated to Spinny. The model code was accordingly changed to SPN5V. In French products, the unit's proper name was translated to, oh goodness gracious, if I can ever say that, Argani. Um, I hope I say that correctly. Okay, so let's get into one of the full pictures that we have. So this is the picture that we're going to see most often here for what I have, because I'm taking it all from the 3025. So this is what Luce had been able to draw for us in the original 3025 technical readout, the TRO. And then in later versions, we have the 7M here, and it's got a little bit more of the wing kind of design, as we then get this from 3050U Spider. This is from Brett Evans. Let's see. We also have, this is a very telling, the 8R with that wing series here by Chris Lewis. This is a clan variant, which is the V19, I guess, by Aaron Harris. This looks more like some of the cardstock figures that we had gotten early on. This one's by Franz von Vowinkle. I think I murdered that name somewhere in there. I apologize. English is my only language, and even at that, sometimes I still say I'm still trying to learn on it. This kind of different look to the whole thing is by John Waltrip. I don't know what book this came out of, Game News 3. Kind of an awkward look to the whole beast. And Sam Wood gave us this for the collector card game. And I think what we'll do from here is we will look. Here's another one of the looks that we had gotten for some of the starter boxes as we have the front and back look to it, and then a miniature early on from Alpha Strike, and then last that we're going to click on is from Inner Sphere Support Lance. Having another wonderful look at the Spider. All right, from here, let's get on over to our D6 stats and see what we have come up with. All right, so as you can see, there's not a huge list of stats here because mainly weapon-wise, there's not a lot of weapons added onto this for the original Spider. So this is, as always, going to be at Walker scale, crew of 1, passengers none, keeping that same cargo capacity of 25 kilograms. We do have a cost coming from Sardon.net at 2,984,540 C-bills. Of course, this is going to be ground altitude. Now, I've changed the maneuverability, so I've started coming up with a little chart here, which I will try and hit at some point. But by what I've started working out, this should have a maneuverability of 3D plus 1. A movement speed was listed at 130 kilometers an hour. We do have a jump distance of 240 meters. The body strength, because it's a 30-ton mech, is at 3D with 56 armor points. And of course, we have our 2 medium lasers. These are going to be fire linked, which I did not list here. These are in a front center torso. Fire control is going to be our 2D, and damage, because they're fire linked, is 6D. Now, getting into our list, which I kind of worked through a little bit, it's going off of your speed, which is what we were normally using in Battletech anyways. The faster you were going, the harder it is to hit you. So that's a plus in the maneuverability. And then it's also going off of our weight. So the heavier the mech, also usually it means the bigger the target. When we look at the Locust, even the Spider, because these are light mechs, they have more spinally legs and that, and a smaller torso in comparison to, say, an Atlas, where it's a nice big old building shape. It's a big blocky vehicle, but it has got one heck of a punch there. Now, does that mean that, I'm starting off with 3D? So every 10 tons, then we dropped from 3D, it would go down to, say, like 2D plus 2, then 2D plus 1, and so on, every 10 tons. But then with our speed being what it is, that adds to our maneuverability, so they kind of offset each other somewhat. So even if you have potentially a 100-ton battle mech that's still going at 4 hexes, because that's, basing it off of the old system, you're still going to get a +1 out of that. So even though your speed's probably going to, or your maneuverability is going to be down to maybe about a 1D, you'd still get a +1 for going 4 hexes in a round. It's a similar system to that. So hopefully I'm keeping it kind of general, something easy to work with, but keeping it a little easier to understand. And obviously, the bigger we are, the easier we can be targeted. And that's why I'm kind of doing it this way. If you disagree and have a different idea on that, please feel free to let me know. I'm always open for comments, good, bad, or and somewhere in between. We're doing this, trying to have a set system so it's easy to plug this in. I don't know how this is going to work when it comes to aerospace. It should work out fairly well, because there again, when we get a light aerospace vehicle, um, they're kind of harder to lock on compared to a nice big vehicle that's got very broad wings and a huge body to the fighter. So with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.